What a roller coaster. The Celtics taking us for a ride. In the end, they give up 132 points. I know it was overtime, Eddie, but the Celtics fall to the Cleveland Cavaliers 132-123. I'm Abby Chin. He's Eddie House. This is Celtics Postgame Live, presented by your New England Ford dealers. Eddie, what's your biggest takeaway?
Is that we got to get better defensively on the perimeter. We relied so much on knowing that we had Rob Williams behind us to clear up any of the mistakes that were made. And if you were aggressive, that you had somebody to go back there. We got to get back to taking the individual challenge. And where is the perimeter defense? I need to see more perimeter defense, a little bit more of something that is going to show that we are not just going to allow you to break us down and you could get into paint whenever you want and get whatever you want. And I think that's been the problem recently. And it's been mid-range and at the rim. So it's not just like everything to the rim, but it's also mid-range shot. We got to get a little bit more resistant.
I mean, and that wasn't a concern going in. The Celtics had their full backcourt from Marcus Smart to Malcolm Brogdon, but they were shorthanded in the front court. And in the end, the damage done by Donovan Mitchell and Caris LeVert, 41 points apiece, both of them taking turns and taking over in that overtime. Eddie, the Celtics just couldn't stop them.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you get good players and once they get rolling and they get comfortable and there, you see these shots aren't really contested like that. I mean, they're late contests. A lot of times when I always say this, a late contest is just as good as a no contest because everybody that's playing are pros. And a late contest doesn't do anything to your mechanics, doesn't do anything to your rhythm. It's just there late after you're already getting the shot off. And once you let a guy get in rhythm, it's tough to stop him. And I don't care who it is on this level. Anybody can get it going any given night, especially if you allow these guys that are really big-time players to really get going and rocking. It's hard to turn that water off.
I mean, the Jays both finished with 30-plus. This is the first time that both Jalen and Jason have scored 30-plus, and the Celtics actually lost. How were the Cavs able to shut down, particularly Jason Tatum? I know doubling him every time he touched the ball, but just 8 points in the second half.
Well, that's what it was. They were doubling, and then from that point, it wasn't getting anything easy. I think we didn't play with the pace that we needed to play with in the second half. I think, again, we've seen this in the last game against Chicago. We get a lead and we get comfortable, and we go away from what we've been doing and what's been working, and that's attacking and then sharing the basketball. And then at the same time, when something is happening as far as like Jason Tatum, you're taking the ball out of his hands, other guys got to step up, and that just didn't happen. I mean, Jaylen Brown stepped up and played well, but other guys got to make shots to make it easier for him. Like, he's making it easy for you to get open shots. You got to knock down your shots to make it easy for him to not get double-teamed.
It felt like the offense got stagnant, though, too. Don't you think? I mean, guys just standing around watching, waiting for someone to do something?
Well, yeah, that happens when you're taking the ball out the net and you're not pushing the ball up with pace. You're not getting stops, and the other team are making back-breaking shots, hands in late contests, and then it looks like a hand is in the face and he's still knocking that shot down, and you're taking it out the net, and then you walk the ball up the court. You don't push the pace. We have to play with pace. This is a team that I'm looking at, and the way that I feel that they will be most successful is getting after it on the perimeter, getting after it defensively, causing havoc, and then once you get that stop, push the pace. And that doesn't necessarily mean you pushing it to get a fast break, layup, or whatever, but at least you have a lot of opportunities with a lot of time on the shot clock to get multiple actions and to get not one look, but two looks at the rim, or either two good shots or three good shots.
So that's offense. Let's focus back on the defense as we welcome in Scal. Scal, you were in the building. The Celtics have now lost 2 straight, gave up 132 in this one. Where is your concern level with the defense now?
I'm actually more with Eddie on this one. So if you're not going to have Rob Williams, if you're not going to be the #1 defensive team in the NBA, and that, for whatever the reason, right? Let's say Caris LeVert had it going. You don't want to walk the ball up against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley when you're out there. You don't want Jason Tatum to be wrestling with guys, and they were throwing different bodies at him left and right. So, in my opinion, I'm with Eddie. So, you got Jason Tatum getting a double team. Get up the floor. Get that ball hitting the paint, moving it around, as opposed to walking it up, giving it to Tatum. Tatum now gets double team 8, 7, 6, 5 on the clock. That's not going to work. So, if you want to play the identity of, all right, we're not going to guard, we're not going to sit down, we don't have Rob, we're a little bit thin in our front court with no Grant Williams today, but you have to find out a way to win. I will give Jaylen Brown credit. Jaylen Brown got it. You saw how many times he was out there. Rebound, he's gone. Steal, he's gone. He figured it out. I just don't think the rest of the guys figured out. Like, when you're going through a regular season and you're not whole because guys are hurt or suspended or for whatever reason, you have to find a way to win. The way to win this game was to push the pace, and they did not do that.
But doesn't that start on the defensive end and getting those turnovers, picking up guys, I mean, not necessarily full court, but putting pressure on the point of attack, as we've been talking about with this team, Eddie?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, if you're not the same team and you don't have the same defensive identity that you had last year, I think every game is going to dictate how you're going to play. So this game, we know they had a lot of size. How do you attack size? And once you get your stops, you got to get at them. Those big fellas don't like to run up and down the court. They don't like to get back on defense, and then on the backside of that, they don't want to have to get down and have to set screens and start rolling. And if they do that, you're going to continuously do that and wear them down. My thing is this: you have to understand that where you are at in your game. You are a team that doesn't have anybody on the back end that's going to erase any mistakes. But at the same time, you do have to play a little bit more aggressive defensively on the perimeter, but on the offensive end, you got to put the pressure on them too.
Scal, the Celtics are going to see these Cavaliers again on Tuesday in Cleveland. Darius Garland may be back. I mean, how scary, how good is this Cavs team already?
Yeah, very good. And no weaknesses. They got tough guys that can guard. They got guys that can go get buckets, and Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. And those two guys, and I've been saying it now all last year and this year, when those guys are healthy, Mobley and Allen, they're a problem at the rim defensively. Like, we have Rob Williams and Al Horford. Those guys are really good at the rim too, but rim protection is the name of the game, because as Eddie House could tell you, or anybody, like, if you want to get into the airspace of certain people, you want to make sure that backline defense has your back. For them, they all believe that. You think that Dean Wade can get up into Jason Tatum's airspace if Mobley and Allen aren't behind him? No, they can't do that. So this team is scary. Now, can they learn to be elite along the way? Can they find an identity that makes them special? We'll find out, but I'm excited about watching this team. I'm excited about next Tuesday, even though we got Washington coming up on Sunday.
I will say, it was fun to watch, despite the Celtics loss. I mean, maybe up until overtime anyway. Scal, thank you very much. Have a good night. Eddie, don't go anywhere. Right now, though, we got to hear from the head coach, Joe Mazzulla. He is with Chris Forsberg.
Coach, can you just lead me through the final possession of regulation? You got the missed free throw. Did you think about calling timeout there, or would you just kind of play on there?
I thought about it, but I thought calling a timeout would help set their defense, maybe get a substitution that they would want. And I thought, we were organized enough, and we talked about that as a team. So I was happy with the look that we got.
What do you take from it? I mean, what do you guys need to do better at the finish line to stay?
Yeah, just finish plays. I thought we did a really good job throughout the game on both ends of the floor. I thought to start the third quarter, our offense got a little stagnant, and then, in the fourth quarter, we had some turnovers and gave up some offensive rebounds. And so it's got to come down to just the fundamentals and the winning plays, and, we have to make those.
What would your take on the defense? Felt like there were stretches, but is that just Donovan and them having a good night, or do you guys still need to be a little bit better on that end?
I mean, obviously, coming off a loss, we can be a little bit better. But those are two great players. But I thought we had our stretches of good defensive possessions and let off the gas on others.
What did you tell the guys afterward?
It's just one game. We're 5 games in. We can't overreact. At the same time, every game is going to tell us what we need to learn and what we need to get better at, win or lose. And I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Celtics dropped their second straight 132-123 in overtime. In this one, Donovan Mitchell and Caris LeVert combined for 82 points.